Oh, hello. Hi. Did you notice that I was reading Camus? Yeah, you see the name right here? Yeah, no. Pretty dense stuff. Am I right? Oh, you've never read him. Oh, well, I mean, don't mind me. I guess I'm just such an intellectual that I understand nihilism. No, guys, I'm just kidding. By the way, do you like the little skits? Do you like the sarcasm? Because my mom says she hates it, but I like it. And my best friend, hi Alex, she likes it too. So let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, we are going to be discussing The Stranger today. But before I get into that, I want to tell you guys a little bit more about what my channel's about. So this is my channel, and right now what we are doing is a series I like to call a book and an eat, where I am planning on reading a book and making a meal from all 196 countries on Earth. Now, I go a bit more detail into this on my first video, which I will link either up here or up here. And now that I've sort of went through some basics, I'd like to remind y'all to please like, comment, and subscribe. And now I will get a little bit into our country of the day, which is Algeria. Algeria is a country that's known many emperors and dynasties, starting with the ancient Phoenicians, going all the way up to the Byzantines, and then continuing on with the Spanish and Ottoman Turks. This has led to probably the most famous colonizer of the country, which is the French, where in the from like sort of the mid 19th century to the early 20th century, Algeria was mainly French territory. However, because of this, it led to a lot of many atrocities against the native Algerians, which my book kind of touches on a little bit, but not really, and I just like to have the space to recognize these atrocities. However, Algeria did gain their independence in 1962. However, this book takes place around the 1930s, 1940s, so around the time of World War II, when Algeria was still under French rule, and that definitely sets a tone for a lot of the book. The Stranger by Albert Camus. So, in the novel The Stranger, we focus on our main character, Meursault. And this main character is one that you're not meant to connect to. Usually, as in books like A Thousand Splendid Suns that we covered earlier, again, I'll link that up above, the character has sympathetic qualities that you're supposed to empathize with, whether you're a mother, or you work a meaningless job, or you feel as though no one can understand your pain. However, Camus does something very interesting with Meursault, and that he doesn't want you to sympathize with him. He wants you to see that you are him, at least in my opinion. So, Meursault is the main character who lives a life of little ambition or emotion. He doesn't really do anything for himself. Even when his mother dies, he questions whether or not she's really dead, and he apologizes, or almost apologizes, for having to take 2 days off from work, even though it's on such an occasion, it would be understandable that anyone would want to take off from work. Anyways, he really just sticks to the status quo, and he's afraid of really pushing any boundaries, When his girlfriend wants to marry him, he doesn't think about it. He just says yes to proposal and sort of moves on. When his vicious neighbor wants him to draft a letter that'll cause much pain to his ex-mistress, he does that as well, no questions asked. He lives his life in a little bubble where the only things he gets mad about are small conveniences, like heat or having to walk too long. Stuff that isn't really what the passion that we look for as human beings. However, Mersu commits a heinous crime, and I'm not going to really touch on this because spoilers, but he doesn't seem to care. He just thinks, oh, well, I have memories of freedom, and as long as I have these memories, I am free. I am good to go. And because of this, he sort of denies the help of everyone. You know, his girlfriend continues to write him weekly, his lawyer tries to get him to do stuff, but Marceau is he's just lost in his own world. He is resigned to his fate, as one might say, as he has been since birth. He shows no remorse at all for his crime. It's all the same to them. This here now is all there is. He is an outsider, Marceau is. His girlfriend wants to get married and delights in having this love with him, but he just feels nothing. His mother's old fiance, who is now technically a widow, is crying at the loss of his love, but Marceau is just complaining about the heat. But no matter that, and this is where we are supposed to be Marceau, in my opinion, is that he still wants more, and isn't that true for all of us? We resign ourselves, we say, hey, this is all there is, but really, it isn't okay, isn't it? You know, we always want more. It's what being a human is. When we deny ourselves the need to reach, to be better than we actually are, we give up a part of ourselves that makes us human. And I think that's what Camus was trying to get to with this whole book, with The Stranger. However, even with this very poignant tale of philosophy that's really supposed to make us think, it didn't spark anything with me. In fact, it's more of a book that you sit with. It's not something that leads you to gush. And that's why I have given it 3 stars. And now, on to the meal. And we're back. So now that we are in the kitchen, we are going to go through the steps to make majuba, or Algerian crepes. So I've already started and done a little bit of prep work. So in this bowl we have 6, and yes, I mean 6 yellow onions. We have some red Thai chilies that have been stemmed and cut. And then we have some roughly cut carrots. Now, it doesn't matter how exactly you chop these vegetables, as we are going to go ahead and put them right in the food processor. So now that I believe that the oil is heated up, I will take these chopped vegetables from earlier and just put them in the pan where we will saute them and then wait for 20 minutes while they just get nice and brown. So as you can see, the vegetables are now properly sauteing, and we will just let those sit, like I said before, for 20 minutes, and I will see you guys in 1 second. So now that we've let the onion, carrot, pepper mixture simmer for a little bit, I've now gone ahead and added some tomatoes and some tomato paste, and we will just go ahead and let these sit over the heat, but this time it'll be low heat, and let that caramelize really nicely for around 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long it takes for your mixture to caramelize. So now that the mixture is cooking, in fact you can see it right behind me, we are going to move on to make the dough. So right here I have 4.5 cups of semolina flour, and I'm going to add the water and 2 tablespoons of salt, and then I will start to combine. Now that this semolina dough is all formed, and don't worry if you get sort of this weird texture. I'm not used to it either since I've never really worked with semolina flour before. We are going to now knead it for around 8 minutes, or at least until the dough stops sticking to your hands. So now that we have our wonderfully kneaded dough, I'm going to go ahead and chop this into 8 even pieces. With 8 evenish pieces comes rolling each one into a dough ball. And then I will place them on a lightly oiled sheet. You can use a bowl or whatever is most convenient for y'all, and let that rest for around 30 minutes. So now that both the dough and the filling are completed, it's time to assemble our crepes, pockets, whatever. So I will take the plastic wrap off this dough, and I'll take one of these, and I'm just going to spread it out until it's just really, really thin. So I will get a rolling pin and get back to y'all when that's finished. And once you have your little pocket of dough, we are just going to lie it down on a lightly floured surface. Make sure your counter is clean, obviously. Then just take a spoon and put a couple of spoonfuls in the center. Now, if you watched my burek video, you can tell that this is pretty similar actually to how we folded the burek. However, I did not pick these recipes based on their similarity. That is just in fact a happy coincidence. Now that's done, we are just going to fold over each of the sides. That creates a little pocket, folding over the long sides first and the shorter sides second, just making it so that looks just like a little envelope of sorts of deliciousness. And we'll repeat that 8 times. Great, so now that all of the packets are filmed and ready to go, we'll now place one over medium heat and let it just stay there for around 6 minutes before flipping it, and we'll repeat that with the other 6 to 7 packets that you guys, or in this case, I have. So we have just finished our majoba, and now for the taste test. I really don't know how to approach this, so I'm just using a fork and a knife. It's great. I like the spice. It's a bit overpowering, or it could be a bit overpowering. So maybe add only 2 chilies, not the 3 that I did, but the caramelized onions add a great touch. I do think I over sauteed them, but overall I would make again. It's a great weekend savory dish type sort of deal. But note, it did take me like 3 hours to make these. So I was just looking at the clock back there. So maybe don't do this on the weekend. But other than that, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Soul Food. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.